tried to warn them. They didn't listen.
Yeah!
Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, here we go. This is how this works. We stream live on YouTube daily for 3 hours between 4 and 7. Hey, that's what time our radio show is, so there's no excuse, whether you're home or in your car, to not be able to listen to as much as you possibly can. Listen while you take care of that screaming child, whatever. And then when we say something that sparks a thought in your mind, you leave a comment. That, of course, you could do between 4 and 7, or you can watch our on-demand content, not only on the Team 980, but on my page at Craig Hoffman. That's where most of these comments come from, so you want your best chance. Just a little wink, wink, hint, nod between you and me. The on-demand content at Craig Hoffman, best place to leave your comments for this segment. That includes comments like this one from Joshua Pittman on our caller segment yesterday that we put up. Have Commanders fans lost optimism on our Vibe Check Tuesday after the Bills' loss this weekend? How quickly the narrative changes. Let us not forget, 2 weeks ago, Josh Allen was the young, inexperienced guy throwing 3 picks in a single game. I think actually, didn't Anthony have 4? Didn't he have 4 versus the Jets?
3.
It was only 3?
Yeah.
Math, never my strong suit. One game does not make a season or a career for that matter. I also heard this comparison earlier in the week. This wasn't in the comments, I don't think, but someone may have put it there. Actually, you want to know? You want to know who was talking about it? I think was Jason Kelsey on the podcast on New Heights. Was it that, like, this time last year, people weren't sure about Jalen Hurts. And that's not to say that Sam Howell is going to suddenly become Jalen Hurts, but, like, let's not forget how quickly things change in the NFL. Let's not forget how quickly we're able to, let's put it this way. How quickly things can evolve to thinking certain things about a player, and how much a player can learn over a very short period of time if they have the intellectual capacity, the proper coaching, and a system that helps them. And to me, that's where I think the biggest test is right now is the Eagles took a system or created a system around Jalen Hurts that allowed him to grow within it and achieve results at the same time. Like what they put on Jalen Hurts by the end of the year last year and what they put on him now is different than what they did a couple years ago, certainly what they did at the beginning of last year. But they continued to evolve. They put more on his plate. And I realized for him, that looks a little bit different because he's so special as a runner and he's so well built that he can sustain multiple carries in a game. But I do think it's on Eric Bieniemy to continue to tweak and evolve the offense he wants to run to be tailored for Sam Howell. And that's only going to come with reps together and time together. That's not really even a criticism of Bieniemy. It's just an acknowledgement of the reality of the situation. That gets us to this comment from Michael Park 6938. Anthony, this is a play along comment, so I don't think this is going to apply to you, but just in case. He says the defenses are taking away the short stuff, so Sam has to hold on to the ball for longer developing plays. It's not rocket science. Watch one game. That's why we need to run the ball more to make defenses more honest. By the way, in this comment where he says this isn't rocket science, he spells plays like places. So I typically stay away from the spelling critique, but that was a pretty funny one.
Yeah.
So here's what I want everyone to do. And this doesn't apply, by the way, if you're driving. So everyone else play along. This is only if you're not driving. But if you think you're smarter than Eric Bieniemy, I want you to take your right hand, to be clear, I do not think that I'm smarter than Eric Bieniemy. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for the example. I want you to take your right hand and I want you to put it up in the air. Do it while watching the video. If you're listening on the Metro, on the Odyssey app, sucks to be you. You need to put your right hand up if you think you're smarter than Eric Bieniemy. If you're sitting watching this video at home on YouTube, or you're walking around your kitchen, I hope your kid's not. If you're carrying your kid watching on your smart TV, put the kid in the left hand, right hand up, and then I want you to take that hand and I want you to facepalm yourself as hard as you can in the forehead for thinking you're smarter than a 2-time winning Super Bowl offensive coordinator. Anthony, your hand was down.
Yeah, I'm not smarter than Eric Bieniemy.
And neither is anybody else watching this video.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. If it's that simple, you don't think that EB and the guys that are paid millions of dollars on his staff, or, Ron Rivera, I guess most of the staff's probably not paid in the millions, but, they're paid very handsomely, well into the six figures. They can't figure it out. Like, yes, I do think they need to run the ball a little bit more. Yes, I do think they need to get the ball out of his hands a little bit more. But how you do that is not quite as easy. Otherwise, we'd all do it. Hey, all right, here's the game plan today, guys. We're going to avoid turnovers. We're going to get some explosive plays. Ready, go. Hey, coach, what's the, how are we actually going to do those things? Well, I don't know, but you got to do them. Ready, set. It's not how football works. Some people make these things sound so easy. They're not. This is so hard. These are the best minds, the best athletes. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. Are they beyond critique? Of course not. It's my job. I sit here and critique them all the time. Are they beyond reproach? No. Have there been times where I've wondered if I'm smarter than a certain offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or play caller or basketball coach or whatever? Abso-freaking-lutely, because they do some boneheaded stuff in the heat of competition sometimes. But that's also a good reminder that to do this stuff within the heat of competition, to make these adjustments on the fly with the pressure of the clock ticking and all that kind of stuff, is way harder than watching 6 replays on your couch and being able to pause it so you can go take a leak or get a new bag of chips. So, there's some stuff with the offense I think they got to figure out. But if Eric Bieniemy thinks that playing a certain way is the best way to move Sam Howell forward, I'm going to trust EB on that. At least more than 3 games where they're 2-1. And a lot of the mistakes are on the quarterback himself, just needing to play better and get through his head the key message of get the ball out of your hands. Jay Anderson, 4254, I think had good perspective on this in his comment. Before the season started, everyone admitted Howell is a young QB, and he's going to have those games where he throws multiple interceptions. He's done what everyone admitted he'd do, so now it's time to see how he responds. Don't lose hope. It's a process. Good things sometimes take time. Well said, Jay Anderson, 4254. You can't be surprised when the thing that you thought would happen happened. Sure, it's more jarring when you actually see it, and 4 interceptions is probably worse than anyone imagined. But 4 interceptions against a very good Bills defense when you've already won 2 games and it's your 4th career start. These happen. It's happened to really good quarterbacks, and hopefully Sam Howell is still well on his way to becoming one. On our chat with Jason Campbell, the former Washington quarterback, joined us yesterday on the show. Jason talked about how a running game can be a quarterback's best friend. And Toy Supra 09 said, stay aggressive. Didn't quite go be aggressive, be aggressive, but just stay aggressive. If he always takes, he being Sam, always takes what the defense gives him, he'll turn into a check down Charlie like our past quarterbacks. The only thing he'll be good at is shaking hands with the other quarterbacks after losses. Taking what the defense gives you doesn't mean checking the ball down all the time, because sometimes they come up on the underneath receivers and what they give you is intermediate, or God forbid, they give you long passes. So yeah, he does got to stay aggressive. That's not how taking what the defense gives you works. The point is that you consistently hit those underneath routes. You take maybe a lesser version of the Alex Smith approach of we're not going to go broke making a profit. And then eventually they start to creep up a little bit. And there's a little bit more room for those throws and those receivers that you're now having to, instead of having to be super aggressive and fit balls into super tight windows, you've got a little bit easier throws and your receivers catch it and have space to run. And that's where you get these big touchdown scoring explosive plays. And there's a lot that goes into those types of plays. It's not just on the quarterback or the offensive line to hold up for long enough. It's the receivers being in the right spot at the right time. Do they line up in the right place? Are they a little too wide so they're a little too far away when they should be in the progression? You heard Logan talk about that in Take Command just a little bit earlier, how Jahan Dotson on one play last weekend probably lined up 2 yards too far to the outside. And if he had lined up where Logan thinks he should have, then he would have been in Sam's vision sooner, and it probably is a completion as opposed to Sam having to throw the ball 7 feet over Cole Turner's head. So there's those kinds of details as well that I think are very easily overlooked and that most fans would never even be aware of. And frankly, I wouldn't be aware of unless I watched a play and was like, why is it taking him so long? Yeah, but I wouldn't know what the exact solution is because you have to know the offense. You had to have played in the league. You had to have studied to understand that level of detail, but it matters a lot. And so getting those little yards here and there by being efficient, making the right decision, and then forcing a defense to react to you making good, smart decisions, picking up 7 yards per check down, 10 yards per check down at a time, will ultimately open up the deeper stuff down the field. Continuing on Never Read the Comments, you can, of course, leave your comment at Craig Hoffman on any of our on-demand content. You can also leave them at the Team 980, where you can watch us live 4 to 7 p.m. each and every day. This one from frequent commenter Anthony, one of my favorite names in all of our YouTube commenters, Tim Foissy, 9508. Foissy.
One more time.
Tim Foissy.
Okay.
Or perhaps it's Foissier. Tim, I know you're watching. We need a full pronunciation of your name. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Tim says, I think the defense played okay. This is a long comment, but it was really good, so I want to read it. So bear with me here, and then I'll respond, obviously. What if I just read comments and I didn't respond to any of them? That'd be a wacky bit. Anyway, Tim says, I think the defense played okay, but not well enough to beat a top-tier team. The Washington defense was put in some very tough spots and kept the score manageable until the fourth quarter, which is laudable, but they need to be a difference maker most games, like they were versus the Cardinals and Broncos. If Washington wants to win the game, and the defense was not a game changer against the Bills. Washington's defense forced the Bills to punt once. That doesn't cut it. Washington's defense generated very little pressure on Allen. They allowed Allen to break contain for several big plays. That doesn't cut it. The way Washington has been constructed, with top draft capital invested in defensive players time after time, and comparatively less attention paid to the offense, especially the O-line and tight ends, which has been more like diamond in the rough hunting, the defense needs to make game-changing plays, especially against the top teams, and they didn't do that on Sunday. I think it's a really good, reality check type of comment, and the kind of thing that makes me go, do I need to think about the way I'm thinking about this team? Because this is the point that Michael Phillips made when he was on with us on Monday, that the stars did not do enough in this game. There's not enough John Allen. There's not enough Chase Young. There's not enough Terry McLaurin in this game. And to an extent, because he's the quarterback, there's not enough, obviously, Sam Howell. Sam was incredibly detrimental to their chances on that particular Sunday with the turnovers and the sacks. So I do think, it's just so hard on a human level when you're a defense and you're going out there doing what should be a good enough job to win, and you get no support from your offense. That's just rough. That's a rough day at the offense. The office. I mean, Anthony, this never happens when you're here, but occasionally, God forbid, you're out for a day. You go on vacation, which not God forbid that, but good for you. But if I would have a substitute producer and I'm just killing it, my takes are on, I'm doing all the stuff I'm supposed to, and they're just hitting all the wrong buttons, I can't win today. Be demoralizing.
I mean, that's
I've probably given you shows like that where you're like, I hit all the right buttons and Hoffman just.
Or vice versa. I've done that. So
I wasn't gonna say that. If it's happened, it's certainly not in my memory.
Yeah.
I mean,
I couldn't even fathom doing that.
Yeah, I mean, goes to break. No, but it's think of your job. Some people listening might be solo somethings, but we all, on some level, rely on the ecosystem around us. And for a defense to get that little support from an offense, I think is untenable. But to say they truly did enough to win when the team is constructed this way, with so much investment on the defensive side of the ball, it is an interesting thought exercise to go, well, if you put it that way, did they really do enough? I just think even if they did, they're not winning that game. They scored 3 points, and it was on the final possession when they were already down 37-0.
Yeah, unless we're scoring off turnovers, that's the only way they could have, quote-unquote, did enough. But, we didn't really get any. Well, we got one turnover.
Yeah, they got one.
Which was a punted throw or whatever you call it.
It's an arm punt.
Yeah, arm punt.
It's 3rd and 20 or something like that, and instead of throwing a screen and getting stopped and getting a little bit more field position or, whatever, Josh Allen just throws the ball down the field where it would have been punted anyway. Like, okay, fine. Take your shot. So yeah, I think it's a good comment and it's good perspective to keep in general. I just don't know how much it applies to the Bills game because, good gracious, the offense was unsupportive to say the least of the defense. But good thought, Tim Foissy. Sidney Ashford, 1977. Our O-line is a whole Target shower curtain. Are Target shower curtains bad, Anthony?
No.
Not that I want a shower curtain blocking for me if I'm a quarterback against a defensive lineman, but...
Yeah, I don't know where he got that analogy from.
Yeah, it's a weird one. How dare you slander Target? That's really honestly why I put it in there, because I thought that comment was funny. It's also wrong. The offensive line is fine.
Yeah.
Maybe Target shower curtains are just average. Maybe that's the point. Sydney, we need more about we need more about Target shower curtains. We need this explained. All right, then we got two contenders, Anthony, for comment of the week. Russell does Dum Dum of the Day. These are our Dum Dum of the Week comments, if you will. You ready for this one?
Yes, sir.
First nominee, King Slim 2027. We straight up got exposed for the mediocre team we are. That's not the fun part. We have no dogs on the O-line. I don't care how Gates looks. He's not a dog. Leno is so damn trash. We need dogs on the O-line, not nice guys like Leno and Wiley. I would love Slim here, King Slim, beg your pardon, to tell Nick Gates, a dude who has started multiple fights already in actual games this season between the preseason and the regular season. I would like you to tell him that he's not a dog. How do we think that would go for King Slim?
I think Nick Gates, he's a nice guy. I think he would.
I think it would go from King Slim to Prince snapped in half. It's my least favorite kind of internet commenter.
It wouldn't go well for him. No. Especially if they lined up.
Nick Gates would do one of the, just a step at him, and dude would just
flinch.
He's
gonna put himself.
Yeah, you ruined it.
He almost pooted on himself.
May J.D. McKissick live forever. And then last one from Game and Able 482. And I think this person just also tweeted at me as well, because it's the same dumb idea expressed the same way. You ready for this take, Anthony?
Yes, sir.
Should I do it in like an Irish accent or Scottish accent?
Yeah, give me your best shot at it.
Gotta get in the lilt. Okay, here we go. The Scottish accent. No wonder it felt like the Bills knew what was coming. Somebody needs to ask EB why he doesn't cover his mouth on the sideline while calling plays. Won't take teams long to figure out exactly what is coming if they can read his lips. Shocking no one on the staff has noticed this after 3 weeks.
That was pretty good.
Way better than the point that was made.
Yeah.
Do you believe this dude thinks, and it's definitely a dude, this dude thinks that the reason the Commanders got their asses kicked is because EB doesn't cover his mouth with his play sheet, and the Bills have lip readers on the other sideline who know the offense well enough that they can then read EB's lips perfectly, relay that information to the Bills defense, all while the play clock is happening and dudes are running around trying to get lined up and figure out their assignments.
Fascinating thought. I just think it's a dumb, to say the least.
Not very smart.
No.
Try again. Do better, laddie. That's never read the comments. You can leave yours at Craig Hoffman on any of our on-demand content, and we will do this again next Wednesday at 5:30.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.